Best way to find land if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of money to do it. That's what this video is going to be about, guys. Okay, so when I got started, I didn't have really hardly any money, but I really needed to learn how to do this land flipping thing. In fact, well, I had done it a few times before when I had a few bucks after I sold a house and stuff, but I never systematized it. So I would do like a lot here, and then a couple years later, I would do another lot, and I would make money doing it that way, but it wasn't consistent enough, right? So I had to figure out a system. And so when I started figuring out this system, I barely had enough money to hire my coach. I literally put all the money I had and I saved up for a few months to hire my coach and actually learn how he does it, because he does just land and he does really, really well. So that's what this video is going to be about. If you're starting out and you want to learn how to flip some land, but you don't really know how to do it yet and you don't have a lot of cash, that's what this video is going to be about. So when I started the systematized mailing people for their land, there's a couple things you got to be really conscious of up front. And the first thing is, how do you pull your list? How do you find a list of people that own land that might want to sell it? Well, that's the first most critical piece. So first you got to figure out where do you actually want to buy land? And I did this in the beginning without doing my research. I kind of just picked some places that I thought I wanted to buy some land in. And I sent a lot of mailers, and the mailers can get expensive if you don't watch it. So when you're thinking about mailing people, mailing is so crazy, because I didn't think it would work before I started this. It's like, it's a mail. I never even check my mail. I never read my mail. But some people do, and you don't need a lot of it to work. You just need a little bit of it to work. So when I first started out, I didn't have any money with the system, but I was trying to do what my coach told me to do, which he was saying, mail people letters because it works. So I was listening to what he said. And so what I did, instead of just getting the processes and trying to mail out hundreds of letters or postcards that cost at least $1 each, right? So if you're trying to mail 500 of them, that'd be $500, which isn't that bad. And you will probably get some calls from 500 mailers. But the first time I did it, I actually mailed to a place that I shouldn't have been buying land, because I didn't do my research there before. And you want to make sure that the places that you're mailing have sell-through rates. Sell-through rates means if 100 pieces of land are listed on the market right now, you want at least 100 pieces of land to have sold over the last year. That's a 100% sell-through rate over a year, right? And it's even better if you can get a 100% sell-through rate over the last 90 days, which is pretty rare actually. But I look at the sell-through rate over the last year. And so if you can even just go to Zillow and you can type in, okay, land only in a certain area, and you see how many properties are listed on the market right now. And then you go down and you do the sold comps. And then you say and you make sure you specify, an acreage range if you want, depending on if you want to try to buy bigger acreages, if you want to try to buy smaller acreages. And you just got to kind of make some decisions up front. What do you want? What are your criteria? Now, for me, my criteria is, I kind of like the bigger properties, a little bit more expensive properties. There's a little bigger spread in the more expensive properties. If you stick around the smaller properties, sometimes, and I'm not buying them off Zillow, okay? Zillow is just my research tool. I do buy minor subdivides off Zillow, but I won't, typically buy any of the flips. This is just for research. So what I want to do is I want to see the difference between the sold comps within a certain variable range. So pick your acreage, pick your location, and make sure it's a pretty good location where you have like 100, at least 50 to 100 for sale comps. Then you change the for sale, leave the map like it is, leave all your criteria like it is, change for sale to sold. See how many sold over the last year, And really when you put all, it'll even give you more than 1 year. So I would want to specify really for 1 year on the for sale. And for sale, you don't have to specify a year. When you're on the for sale comps, you really just want to do any time period. But when you get to the sold, put it on 1 year. Don't do all, because all will give you like 3 years. So you want to see the difference there. You want to look at the ratio. Is there 100 listed on the market right now in this area? and over the last year there's been 20 that sold. Well, if that's the case, that's a 20% sell-through rate. I would not pick that area to market in. Now, if 100 have sold and there's 100 listed, that's a 100% sell-through rate. That's decent. But if you can find the areas where it's like 100 are listed now and 500 have been sold in the last year, that's a 500% sell-through rate. That's pretty rare. But say there's 10 listed right now. If there's 10 listed on the market and 50 have sold in the last year, that's also a 500% sell-through rate. Does this make sense? So you really want to look at the sell-through rate. You want to do your research up front before you actually pick a market to mail to. Now, because mail's not cheap. Mail's not cheap even if you hand mail. So when you hand mail, so if I just send postcards from my CRM to people, it's about $1 a piece. And you want to do it fairly consistently. You don't want to really stop your mailing, because it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for people to start calling you back. And you want to make sure you answer these calls. And the other rule is, the fortune's in the follow-up, guys. When people start calling you back, you got to make sure you keep in touch with them. You got to learn how to comp right. But the first things are, you got to identify a good location, and then you have to make sure that location is selling. So when you get something under contract, you're going to be able to sell it, and you're not just going to sit on it forever. So that's kind of the critical first step. Do some research on Zillow, find some areas. And here's the cool thing about land, guys. There's some really great super secret land software out there where you can do all of your research. So you can literally buy land and have your markets be anywhere in the United States. It doesn't necessarily have to be in your backyard. It's not bad to start in your backyard in the beginning, because then you can go put boots on the ground and all that kind of stuff. And it might make you feel more comfortable buying land when you can put boots on the ground. But you don't have to do it that way. It's not bad to start that way. I did start buying land that way, and that does make it more comfortable. But now the markets I work in, I'm not there. Sometimes I do go there. I still like getting boots on the ground on some of the bigger properties that I actually put under contract, but I don't always have to. So, okay. So hopefully this makes sense. I know I'm rambling, guys. I'm going off on a whole bunch of different topics at the same time. But this whole video is how to start finding land deals and doing land deals and making some money without having a lot of cash up front. So I'm just telling you how to be efficient doing that. Identify a really good area, and that identification happens through looking at the sell-through rates. And it's really easy to find that information by doing some research. Get a little spreadsheet, start logging it. This area, this many is for sale right now. This many have sold in the last 90 days with this criteria, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Once you've identified maybe 5 or 6 areas, and you can see the sell-through rates for those areas as a percentage, then what you do is you go pull a list of people that have owned land. Now there's multiple ways to pull a list, and you are gonna need to possibly spend a little bit of money doing this, but it doesn't have to be that much. There are some really good list pullers and nice solid lists. So I'm gonna tell you my favorite. My favorite does cost a little bit of money, but the super secret land software is called Land Portal. And Land Portal's great. It's really great for multiple reasons. But for research on sell-through rates, actually, if you buy Land Portal, it's like 99 bucks a month. If you want to try it for a month and just check it out or whatever. I think they even give you a little free trial, but it's only a couple days, or like 7 days or something like that. Maybe it's 14 days. So you can try it. But they have a market research tool that literally shows you sell-through rates. So you don't have to really do it on Zillow if you have Land Portal. And it'll show you sell-through rates in all of the counties in the whole United States. And it'll actually show you with a heat map, so you can see colors. So you can just look for the green areas. And then you go from there and you pick some of your favorites. So once you identify your markets, and it's quicker on Land Portal than it is on Zillow, but it's good to get the research in, learn how to do it on Zillow. But once you get Land Portal, now you can pull lists. And it's not that expensive. I mean, a list of like 500 leads probably gonna cost you like 20 or 30 bucks. And you don't even really have to download and export the leads, because when you get on Land Portal, you can just do it one by one. pull a list of like find your good market, pull a list of say 300 leads. And I can show you how to pull this list. When you go through the land portal list pulling process, you basically specify a ton of different criteria. And when you're buying land, sometimes you're pulling lists and they give you land on some of these lists that are landlocked. And a landlocked piece of land means you can't drive to it. It's not accessible by a car. So I don't personally want to buy any landlocked piece of property. But on the other lists that I pulled, if they weren't on Land Portal, I get a lot of landlocked people calling me with landlocked properties, and they want to sell their land, obviously, but there's really nothing I can do. I can't do anything with it. I can't sell it. So I really don't want to buy that. But on Land Portal, you can specify road frontage. You can say landlocked, no. And then you can say, I want this much road frontage. So if you want to cut that piece of property up and do a minor subdivide, you can specify, and if you need 150 feet of road frontage per cut, and it's a 5 acre plus, now you know I need at least 750 feet of road frontage. And you can specify that, and it'll pull a list that's tighter for you. You can also add to your list how much wetlands is appropriate, how much floodplain is appropriate. It's like, I want 50% of the property to have zero floodplain on it, or I want no more than 20% of the property to have like 20% of floodplain on it. So you can specify all these things with Land Portal, and it's vacant land. The best lists I've ever pulled. But I mean, I'm still fairly new to the game as far as the systematized thing, but that's where I love, that's my favorite list pulling right now is Land Portal. I'm sure there's other places too, so, but I pretty much don't do any other list pulling right now, and it works great for me. I get good leads that I want to buy when they call me. So say you pull a list on Land Portal now. You got your list. You got like 300 solid leads. Instead of exporting, now you can export the list. I usually do export the list and upload them into my CRM. So I can do whatever I want with them, and I can keep them organized and stuff like that and follow up with them easier. But what you can do is just get a spreadsheet and take the name, the size of the property, and the address of the property, the APN number. You have all that information right there at your fingertips through Land Portal, and just start logging it in a spreadsheet. And then it has the name and the address of the person who owns the property, the mailing address. So it's got the address of the actual property, and then it's got the address of the mailing address of the person who owns the property. It's there right in front of you. So you don't even have to export the list to get that information. Now, it doesn't have the phone number. You'd have to skip trace that list in order to get phone numbers, which Land Portal does do that as well if you want to cold call. I don't really love cold calling, but you know, if you want to do that, you can do that through Land Portal as well and get their phone numbers. But what I like to do is in the beginning, when you don't have a lot of money and you don't really want to spend a lot of money, you just go and you just do more work. You just sit down and get obsessed for a week. Get some solid lists on some solid spreadsheets. Then you go to Staples or Walmart and you get some nice big fat invitation envelopes. And like the cream colored ones with the glue on the back, where you rip the thing off and you just glue the back shut, and get a nice bag of candy or something like that, which is what I'm doing. When I have really good lists, it makes it bumpy mail. And then you get a big yellow pad, and you write out, "Hi, George, my name is whatever, and I'm buying land in your area, and I see you own a 8 acre piece in, Ohio, whatever county in Ohio." I don't even know where I'm walking. I love talking about this stuff, guys. I'm just walking through neighborhoods here in Arcadia, Phoenix. But see, look at this. This right here is a house getting built on a piece of dirt. Look at that. Sick house. I bet you there's probably the roof's going on right now, but they need a piece of land to put this house on. Nobody's making more land. Look at this really nice little builder right there. So you hand write these envelopes, put a big fat stamp on it, and mail like 5 letters a day. Just do it for 5 letters a day. if you do that for like 1 month, you're going to be getting, actually, you're probably going to get more calls than you're ready to take. But the hand mailing, when you write their name on an envelope and you write a letter out and you put a stamp on it and send it to somebody, and you don't have to put a price on it yet, right? You know, it's not about saying, I'll buy your land for this much money. Some people do that. It's called blind offers. I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing that in the beginning. I would suggest sending them, say, hey, if you're interested in selling your land, give me a call. I'm a family-owned guy looking just to buy some land, and I see you on a nice piece here. If you're interested in ever selling, you know, give me a call at this number, and put your number there. I mean, you could put your actual phone number there. You can go get a Google Voice number so it rings through your phone. But you want to make sure you answer these calls. These calls could be gold. So when they call you, it's not necessarily about immediately telling them the price that you can give them for their property. It's about talking to them like a human being and saying, yeah, I'm looking to buy some land. So I do want to give you an offer on your property. Like, can you tell me a little bit about the property? And just really start there. Can you tell me a little bit about the property? And they'll tell you a little bit about the property. But really, the research you can do on Land Portal, pretty much you can know most stuff about the property already. But it's really about establishing a relationship with them, seeing if and a lot of times they know a lot more about that property than you ever will. So getting them to give you some information about the property is not a bad idea. But then you can find out, you know, hey, why are you looking to sell? What's your reason for selling? I mean, you don't have to dig or pry too deep into that, but you kind of want to know, why are they trying to sell the property? Because you really want to be able to help them out. So they call you up, you hand mail letters. This is the cheapest way to do it, guys. And if you do it this way, it's actually the most effective. It just takes longer to do. When you just can say, I'm going to mail 500 letters out of my CRM, boom, 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 you're going to get you will get calls, and you'll probably get more calls than you can handle if you start doing that way. But when you hand mail, you get way more response rate. So if you mail out 100 letters hand mail, you might get 20 calls. Maybe you make one deal. If you make one deal out of 100 hand mailed letters, like you can make 10, 20, 30, 50 grand on 100 letters. So I know this is a long video, guys. I'm not sure if this will even post, but that is, maybe I'll cut it into 2 parts, but that is the initial process. I got to do more of these videos, and I know they do get kind of long, but let me know if I'm providing some value for you guys, because this is the way to start. You start by just starting. And now I got to show you how to comp. So you can use Zillow to comp as well. But I got to show you how to comp. That's going to be a whole nother video. I got to be behind my computer for some of these. I just love walking around and talking while I'm walking. But yeah, so that's how you start. Identify a good location. Pull a list, a solid list without landlocked properties, and then mail that list. And then when they call you back, answer the phone and be human. You know, just talk to them. See what they're looking to do with their property. And then learn how to comp. And then learn how to offer. And then, okay, here's the other thing. You gotta buy it right. And I said this before. You make your money when you buy, not when you sell. You have to make sure you offer correctly on the property. And that comes down to comping. But if you offer correctly on the property and they want you to help them out, and there's meat on the bone, then you're not gonna have trouble finding money for that. So, you know, it is scary up front trying to offer some money on a property when you don't really have a lot of money to your name, but there's a lot of money out there if you got a good deal. If you get a good deal under contract, then there's a lot of money out there. If you got a lot of meat on the bone, everybody wants a bite of the steak. So that's my video for today, guys. I know it's 20 minutes long, but let me know if this was beneficial to you guys, and hopefully this will post. So until next time, shoot me a DM if you got any questions. My name's Dave, and Dave buys land. Well, it's David buys land. I think that's what my tagline is. Anyways, have a good day, guys. Until later, talk to you. Peace.